I am on my way from Philadelphia down to Florida. I just passed into Georgia, and today we're going to talk about comments and questions that I got recently, including the giant sailfish marlin that I had in the back of my car last time. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson, and welcome. I just crossed into Georgia. And I got my USA shirt on yesterday. Unfortunately, it's kind of crazy what our country has gotten into. Donald J. Trump, our past president, somebody actually took a shot at him, and luckily they missed and grazed his ear. And right now, the whole world is upside down. And man, just kind of crazy, man. I don't care who it was. It's just crazy. Thank God he's okay. Anyway, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to go through the comments, and what I do is I got nothing to do for 15 hours as I drive from Philly back to Florida, the villages. And it's kind of fun. I just kind of memorize some of the questions and go over them while I'm driving down. So guess what? You guys get to keep company with me for a while. Yeah, well, it makes my ride a lot easier. But we're going to talk about donuts in the yard, dogs on the auto train, surge protectors, all kinds of stuff. And I know the big fish that was in the back of my car. I'll explain that one, kind of a fun family story. So let's get started on the first one. Before I really get started, you may notice that you might be able to see the corner of it right back to that box. That's my ERNE Pickleball Machine. You know, some time ago, I had bought the ERNE Pickleball Machine, and I went up to Dave up in Pennsylvania, they're the ones who built it, designed it. He was the engineer that designed the inside of it. And they came out with a new hardware, so I'm going to be doing a new video on that for all my pickleball friends. I hope this Wednesday. I really do. I missed this Sunday on getting this one out, but I'm going to try to get it out tomorrow as soon as I get down there. But the first question or the first comment is from, actually, I'll answer the one about the fish. And that was from, I'll try to stick a still from the last one so you can see what they're talking about. But from Alex, and I believe it's Ricky, I got to kind of memorize these things because I can't look down at them. But I was doing one of these where I was talking about the comments and questions as I was driving back to the villages, and there's a giant 7-foot marlin in the back of my car, and I didn't even think about it. I was like dum going along like that, and the giant fish is back there. Well, what happened was we had a family home down in Ocean City, New Jersey, that my grandfather built when there was like no homes down there, and he built it right on the water down by the yacht club down there. Now we're talking like back in the 40s, I think, and it's been in the family ever since. Well, as time goes on, it just came along that my cousins had it, and they sold it. It was kind of a real bittersweet because everybody in our family had spent time there. I mean, it had become part of the family. And it's like all of a sudden you realize like that generation, the great generation and prior to that has now passed away. So people came in and out, people from, family members and stuff like that came in and out. Well, hanging in the dining room and had been moved around was this giant marlin. And as we went through all of their stuff, as I'm sure some of us have done, you go through their stuff and you find all these forms and stuff like this. Come to find out, there's a giant from the 50s, a giant thing where my grandmother had actually caught this. So I decided to take it back down to the villages, and I'm going to try my hand at restoring it. And I'm going to do my darndest to find a place to put it in the house. So if you know anybody that does the airbrush thing, that's what I'm going to try to airbrush it back together and get it back up on the wall. Anyway, Allison, thanks a lot for sending that question. And that's what the giant fish was all about. No, I didn't catch it. My grandmother caught it back in the 50s. Let's sail on to a new one. Sailfish, get it? Last week and a few weeks before that, I had done the type of surge protection that I have in my house and a video about lightning and in the area, and are we really the lightning capital of the world or the country or whatever. And anyway, if you want to learn more about that surge protection, I did that video, but then I did it as a follow-up. I had Lenhart Electric install a whole home surge protector in my house. And in fact, after they got that done, they gave me a code. If you mention my name and you want to have one installed by them, you get $50 off. So if you want to call them, and I'll put the link down to that video down below. And actually the unit I got was made by a company called PSP that only sells to electricians because they've got a really good warranty on it, a lifetime warranty plus a downline warranty of like $100,000 at the time I did this. So, I explain on there why I chose that one. And there's a lot of good ones out there, but the conversation came up about, sorry if it's a little noisy, the conversation came up about that I had brought up the fact that the NEC code, which is the code that governs electrical work in homes, in 2020 said that they were going to require homes, new build homes, to have, I believe it was 2020, new build homes to have surge protectors built into the panel. Now, I explained a lot of that in the other video, and I really highly suggest you watch it if you haven't watched it, because it explains about the surge protection, exactly what it does, because it's probably not what you think. If you think it has to do with lightning, you're probably wrong. That new builds have to have it in there. Well, Florida did not adopt that actual code. The states have to adopt it to enforce it until 2023. And because of that, like when my home was built, although it came in while the 2020 NEC recommendations were in there, Florida hadn't adopted it yet. So I got a few questions on, will the new homes have this type of surge protection in there? And the answer is yes. I believe that all the new home builds in Florida, 2023 and on, will have it in there. But the question was the same thing that I have, and no, it's not. I'm not sure exactly what they're putting in there, and I'm sure it can vary from time to time. My guess is it's probably one of the ones that's put into the actual circuit breaker panel. And if you look at the specs on a lot of those, they're not as high as the one I got. So I really can't tell you about the ones that they're putting in. And remember, I'm not an electrician, just like you guys, I'm another knucklehead talking on the YouTube, as I say. But anyway, that's what I know. So if you have a 2023 build, that will be in there. How intricate it is, I don't know. That's actually up to the builder and up to the villages, what they're going to put in there during the build. But anyway, if you want to watch that video on surge protection, I'll put that down below. And by the way, Lenhart did a great job. I invited them over to do the install. They were clean, they were neat, they were in, they were out, except the fact that, they were very patient with me and videotaping the actual install, which was kind of crazy. And they did offer the discount if you decide you want to call them up. I can't tell you the price or anything. They're going to have to tell you that. But they offered $50 off on the install of whatever their normal price is. Anyway, that's it regarding the surge protector. Thanks a lot for the people that wrote in questions about that. I probably glanced over that a little bit. Anyway, on down the road to the next question. This is getting bad and corny. Here's one that has to do, well, the person wrote it to me before I even made the video, before I did it, but it is a question about the auto train, which I recently took the auto train. Now, if you don't know what the auto train is, it's a train that runs from just above Orlando, Stanford, up to just below Washington, D.C., right there along 95, and drops you off there, actually, Virginia. And the neat thing about it is that you can put your car on. You can pack your car up, throw it on the train, hop in a sleeper car or a coach car or a bigger room car, whatever you want, and you can ride up, and then in the morning you wake up and you're there with your car on the train. Anyway, I've got a bunch of questions about it, and I thought, oh, one of these days I got to do this. One of those things I kept putting off. So I finally decided to do it this last trip up at the last second. Well, let me tell you, it's going to be one of the longer videos I've done, because I'm trying to make it so it encompasses everything. So that anybody who wants to ride the auto train, they'll be able to figure it out. So it's not that it's necessarily the longest one lengthwise, but it's just, for me, it's a lot of work to do. So if you have any interest in that, go ahead and subscribe. It's going to come out fairly soon. And there's some video I took on there. And I got to tell you, I learned a lot. And when you know those tips and tricks kind of thing, if you're thinking about taking it, it could help you out a lot. And if you have any comments about it, put it on here, write someplace on there, and I'd be interested to hear, even if I can include it on the video. Anyway, that's it. Oh, the question was, do I know if you have a small dog, animal type thing, could you take it on the train? Well, from what I understand, I asked, because I knew the question was out there, and they said that if you have a service animal, you can bring that animal, I think they said dog specifically, on board. Here's the thing. You get on that thing, and at a minimum, you're going to be on there for 15 hours. That's a long time to be on a train with an animal. Now, you can say you can bring one of those little pad things or whatever. I'm telling you what, you may have your own little room or something, but you are really in close quarters with a lot of other people. I mean, you can hear people talking in the next room. So if you don't have kids and you get a room next to kids, you may want to think about that. And I talk about that. I'll talk about that in the video. So if you want to learn about the auto train, go ahead and subscribe, and that will be coming out soon. But as with anything, it's best to check their current conditions or rules, whatever, by calling them up. I will say this, every single person that I met was kind of reminded me of the villages. The people on the train were really nice. The people I called on the phone were really nice. The, I don't know what you call it, a purser, the attendant or whatever, people in the kit, everybody was really nice. So I'll tell you that much. It was a joy with the people on Amtrak. So if you've never done it, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, that's it for the train car. So on to the next one, I guess. This one deals with one of the maintenance videos that I did on. So if you hadn't watched them, I do once a year, and the reason I do it every year is I update it every year. But it's pretty intensive. I call it filter day, and it's a day that I kind of lop off, and I just go up and I say, you know what, I'm going to get done all the filters, all the things I'm supposed to clean, all the things I'm supposed to reset, batteries and fire alarms, like that. And I go through a whole list of things. Well, it got so long, and thanks to the suggestions from you guys, people that have watched it and said, hey, how about this? I go, oh, yeah, that's probably true. Should be doing that. It's actually divided up into two parts, one outside and one inside. I'll put the links on there, or put the little pictures up here. You can watch it. But I do that right around June if you're looking for it. But TJC, I think it was, wrote, hey, I noticed you're not using the little concrete or the little donuts that go around the sprinkler heads. Is it because your sprinklers don't require them? I'm not a sprinkler person, but as far as I know, they don't. They're not required to be there. So it'd be great if you anybody knows in the comments if it's more than what I'm going to say. But I believe they're in there for two reasons. First, one, they can sit up and act as kind of like a barrier to keep tires and lawnmowers and people walking on them, kind of like a bridge. So you have the donut, and if somebody steps on it or runs their car over it, it will keep it from being cracked. The other thing is, and this you'll see why this runs into a problem with me, I didn't put them in there. And I thought, well, I'll be able to cut around the grass. Now the St. Augustine grass, as it grows, it seems as though it tends to grow on top of itself. And what I mean is it starts to build thatch layers down below, and the shoots that run off of that, there's a name for those shoots, I can't remember what it is. If you got it, put it down in the comments down below. The shoots the grass tends to start growing up and building a layer, and as it does, it grows up. Well, obviously the sprinklers don't follow that up. So my grass is actually now starting to grow up above, after going on 3 years, up above the top of the sprinklers. So I can no longer use the weed whacker and weed whack around them really easy. And that's what I believe the other reason they're there for, because it allows you to weed whack around them really easy and keeps a nice, neat hole right there. Also, what happens too is I've had to dig a couple out, and luckily they put them, instead of just mounting them right onto the PVC pipe, they mounted them onto the flex tubing that flexes. So really all I had to do was dig it out, pull it up a little bit, and then shove some dirt underneath it. If you notice, there's no cars around me whenever I do this. I have no cars anywhere around me. I kind of look around and see whether I can waddle a little bit down the road. So I'm actually very safe. And so that's it. And I had to do that this year. Now, with that said, my friend Bob and Liz, I had to go over and borrow his little circle thing, and maybe I'll do a little video on that. If anybody wants to see it, let me know. I'll put it down there. I'm doing a little repair work on the sprinkler heads and putting those donuts in there. I'll show you how I did it. Anyway, that's it. There's no requirement, but I'm kind of putting them in there as that grass gets built up too much around the sprinkler heads, because that's part of one of the maintenance things I do each year is clean the sprinkler filters to keep them running right. Let me say this. I'm going to say this again. This is the middle of July. This is hard chinch bug season. And if you don't know about chinch bugs, I highly suggest just take a second. I'll put the link down below. Watch the chinch bug video I did, because I hate to drive by people's lawns. They go away for a month during the summer and then come back and their lawn's gone with these chinch bugs. So I'll make sure I put that video link down there. Please watch it. If you have somebody else doing your lawn, don't rely on them. If you see a problem with your lawn, please call them up. If you have somebody contracted to do your lawn, say, hey, what is this spot? I want to know. That's what they get paid for. All right. Let's buzz on to the next one. Okay. I am about 3.5 hours from my house down at the Villages. As most of you know, the Villages has gotten so darn big, I'll probably get to the top of the Villages half an hour before that. Wow, it's pretty amazing. If you're watching this and you've never been to the Villages, or you're thinking about going to the Villages, it's going to amaze you. The top of the Villages, it's kind of like you think you're there, but if you live down south, you got another half hour to go. And that's pretty wild. But with that said, the next person wrote, I believe Bill is his name, if I can remember. Can't look down right now. But Bill wrote, I had, in one of the past videos, I had talked about that. Most people know I'm an Eagles fan. Been so since I was a wee one. and mostly a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And I had said that somebody had asked a question, are there sports clubs in the villages? And I see there's a couple of sports bars, but the other thing that I haven't experienced yet, probably because I'm running all over the place all the time, is, a local Eagles club, like a Philadelphia Eagles club that, some people go over to people's homes. I just don't know anybody that like regularly has an Eagles game at their house, and I don't have it paid for on my TV, so a lot of times I don't get it. And he had said that he looked and actually looked for me, but he didn't see anything about the Eagles and nothing about the Flyers or Phillies, I don't think either, which is kind of strange. So I know they're out there. So if anybody's watching the Eagles game on a Sunday, send me a note, and maybe I'll bring some beer over with me or snacks and watch one of the games. I do think they actually play Tampa and Jacksonville maybe this year, or maybe it's Tampa and Miami. I'm not sure which one, but I'm pretty sure they hit Florida a couple of times, which is kind of wild. And for the Eagles, if you're an Eagles fan, it's going to be kind of crazy this year. Anyway, put that in the comments if anybody knows one, and I'll try to get back in touch with you or whatever. But for those that don't belong down here, I just haven't pursued it. But there are all kinds of city clubs, and I think if I went to the Philly city club, that meets probably once a month or once a quarter or something like that, I probably meet some people that are watching the game. And I'm definitely going to do that this year. I promise. I also got a promise. Somebody's going to note on this. Fridays is the Beatles Club. And I want to look that up, and they go play Beatles music on Fridays, live band Beatles music. So I'm going to find that one too and eventually get to that. All right. On to the next one. I'm getting a little giddy now. Not too much longer. Here we go. All right. We got two more, and they're both actually weather questions. The first one is from Lisa. Now, remember, I'm doing this kind of off the top of my head here. The first one is from Lisa, and she asked something like, is there any tornado damage that you know of? I believe it was tornado or hurricane damage. And in the villages, there's depends on what you count the villages. It's a pretty big area, and depends on what you mean by hurricane, tornado, and the answer is yes. All right, the biggest one off the top of my head that I can remember is that I know of, and I wasn't here, was in 2007. I think they have the tornado. They used to call it the Groundhog Day tornado or something like that. And that was in 2007. If anybody knows about that, man, please chime in, put it, if you got any links to it, chime in here. I'll see if I can find any pictures of it. But I know that was like a EF2 maybe, came through the northern part of the villages. Now, laughingly, well, it's actually sun's going behind the clouds. Laughingly, the northern part of the villages in 2007 is just a tiny spot now. And, but way up there by Lady Lake, I think it actually touched down twice. And, but I think if you go back in history, there was one that wrapped its way through here, a pretty big event. I'll call it event because I can't remember whether it was a hurricane or a tornado, but I think it was a tornado back in like 1928 or something like that. And if you look on the internet, because I tried to look at it before I came down here, if I remember correctly, they'll call them wind events and stuff like that, and I'll explain why in a second. Like between 30 and 52 of them or something like that over the years. Anyway, as far as the villages goes, I'm going to put this in a nutshell. I described this a lot better. I did a video. I'll put the link down below. In fact, the last one I did, if you look at it, Rusty Nelson Hurricane Beryl, I tacked it onto the back of that video because it was kind of like the first video out of the shoot, and I just wanted to get kind of people feeling about hurricanes and stuff like that hadn't been here. But we live right in the middle of Florida. So the hurricanes that we get hit with have already made landfall. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always going to deteriorate, but they lose a lot of their oomph a lot of times when they make landfall. But here's the thing. If you think of a hurricane kind of like as an octopus with a bunch of arms sticking out of it, those arms can go 60, 100 miles out. And in those arms, there's a lot of storm activity that can create tornadoes. Very seldom do we get any real threatening, we do get it, but real threatening stuff like the Midwest tornado type, EF5 kind of stuff. But so what happens is we get a lot of these events that happen that are tornadoes or funnel clouds that get spun off of hurricanes, and they happen real quick and they're extremely unpredictable. You can't predict them. Whereas when we're out in the Midwest, we can predict like a day ahead of time. We can go and get ready and go, okay, this is where we're going, and towards Oklahoma and Nebraska today, because that's the best setup where all the things kind of mix together. But it just doesn't happen around the villages. Now, watch that video and you'll understand, because I explain in there, so that if you're actually watching a hurricane come through, I explain the different quadrants of a hurricane and how they move through, and what areas to look for to be the worst in that. And also, as I explained in there, I will go live when things start to happen around the villages or Central Florida or something that may pertain to us. I'll do some quick videos on it. And afterwards, I'll actually go out and broadcast from my car live. If you're subscribed, you'll get notified, and I'll probably go live out there. With that said, Bad Karma asked, is there any apps that I use that would be good for hurricane, tornado type thing? Now, there is one. I'll put a link down below. If you watch that old video, not old video, the video from this year, the stuff I tacked on in the end, I put the NOAA's site on there that's for hurricane. Most of NOAA's stuff is really good, and I'll put that on there. But I just started using this year, because the old app that I used to use, they started charging to get all the good information out of. But I started using, believe it or not, the app from Apple, the weather app that's on the iPhone. That and Fox News app is actually pretty good. The hardest thing with the weather apps is rifling through them and getting used to using their format. They all get their information from the same place. You hear me? They all get their information from the same place. It's all computer generated. They just have a different computer program that generates it. So the Fox News one, it'd be great if people have comments, the ones they use it and why, they've chosen it over other ones. If you're a weather person, you know about it. Now, with that said, I'll put a link up and I'll show a picture of this. When I get back, I'll flash it up there. I use an app on my phone called Radar Scope. It's a paid app. I use that tornado chasing when I'm chasing the storms, because it's very accurate. I can adjust the levels of the radar, the information I'm receiving on there. I can get different radar output on there, and it is extremely accurate. It also has a lot of the lightning on there, so I will put the link to that. In fact, you pay for that, and if you are a storm spotter, you can put your name on there, and you'll see my name pop up where I am if I'm on there. Anyway, that's it. I'll put those links to that up there. Thank you so much for keeping me company while I'm driving back to Florida. So this is Sunday. I will try to get this out on Monday. Wednesday, I may have my pickleball video come out, so make sure you're subscribed to all those things. And I know I've been saying this, the carnivore thing, I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. Boy, I kind of fell off the wagon on that, and I got back on it, but really good things to say about it. Very interesting. It's just very involved, and I got to be very careful about what I say because it deals with medical. But the auto train hopefully will be next Sunday. Anyway, thank you so much. And I'm going to eat the rest of my Buc-ee's brisket. And now I have about 2.5 hours till I get back. And it's good to see Florida. Anyway, you have a great day. I will either see you down in the villages now that I'm down there, or I will see you back here on YouTube. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.